Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and this is a rare instance where I create a Dirty Devs video discussing actions being taken against a Dirty Dev, as opposed to it entirely being about the actions of the Dirty Devs themselves. Buddy Boy Benson, aka Varius Benson of Capital Gaming RP, has continued to be a never-ending source of irritation, particularly reaching out to me via Discord DMs since my last video on his joke of a game, in an attempt to get me to reverse my opinion of him and his game. There have been 3 videos so far on Benson and his pathological lying, his legal threats and extortion attempts leveraged against Psy Syndicate and Big Fright TV, and his legal threats both towards a former community manager who was a minor and to that former community manager's parents, of whom he had threatened to get incarcerated. There were the mass bans on the Steam discussions board for the game of anyone who dared to call attention to either my or Big Fry TV's videos on Benson's deplorable behavior, along with massive thread deletions to hide any and all critique of his actions in order to prevent customers from being aware of what it was they were supporting with their purchase. I won't bother going through a full recounting, however, I have created a playlist that will be shown in the upper right corner of your screen and will be in the pinned comment down below if you would wish to go more in depth as to what has brought us to this point. There were also Buddy Boy Benson's theft of squad assets for use within Civilcontract, the theft of website assets that I actually did not cover on my channel, and then there was also the initial launch of Civilcontract into early access that was so disgustingly bad that Benson ended up taking down the Steam store page for a time in order to hide from the backlash. And again, the constant unending stream of easily debunked lies from Benson regarding these actions and within his own Discord that even showed that Varius Benson was underage at the time that he signed the Steam developer contract, which requires the developer to be of legal age. Yes, Buddy Boy Benson very much deserves to be on the list of Dirty Devs, but today I want to take some time to discuss some news that I received this morning from another developer who is filing a trademark dispute with Civilcontract and Varius Benson due to Benson's actions causing customer backlash to fall on him and his game, as well as my own concerns as to how far that will get him. I will also take some time to discuss the abortive launch of the game and Benson's attempt to get a redemption video out of me with nothing more than a trailer video as his supposed proof that he is doing better. As I said earlier this morning, I was contacted by a person that goes by Civil Aaron from Oversight Games, the developers for Civil the Game, a digital life MMO that carries with it a very similar feature set to what Buddy Boy Benson has been attempting to do with Civilcontract. It has been on Steam since September 12th of 2019, and while it appears it is not currently being sold, this is apparently due to the developer's own actions in order to perform a closed alpha test, which is a bit odd to me. You are an early access game. What reason do you have to block your own game from being sold for a time in order to perform a closed alpha test? Why not do what other developers have done and create either a public or private beta depot branch? The former can be an opt-in for players that wish to give it a go, or give them the option to stay on the more stable public build, or the latter, where private access can be granted to a select number of players. Now, this sort of thing really doesn't make much sense to me for the developer to cut their own sales off at the knees, but whatever. It's his game and his choice, and ultimately not why we're here. Now, according to Aaron, customers have been confusing Civil the Game with Civilcontract, and as such, Oversight Games have been accused of scamming people because they believe this game to be Varius Benson's. And it is because of this market confusion that Aaron has filed a takedown request based on trademark violation of Civilcontract in his communication with me. Aaron stated, "I did this because my consumers are confused. I did this because my team is financially hurting because our community believes we're the same people who are trying to scam people. On the contrary, I've actually always been extremely open with my small community. I've shared business plans, real statistics, gameplay design documents, and other things that I felt might make them trust me more. However, alas, it is very difficult to win the trust of a group of people who have been misled and scammed time and time again." And I can absolutely agree with that. People that get burned so many times naturally shy away from the flame. And also, within that communication, Aaron expressed his desire for my help personally in order to make sure there is a clear distinction between the two games and the two developers, and I felt compelled to at least discuss this even outside of the trademark dispute because I don't feel it right at all for Oversight Games to be catching flack over the actions of Capital Gaming RP and Varius Benson. They're not the same game and they're not the same developers. Oversight Games is innocent of the actions taken by Varius Benson, but because some people seem incapable of reading the full title of a game, something one would reasonably expect any elementary school student to be capable of doing, they end up being harmed because of this confusion. But even though this confusion has been made by some of the game's customers, I personally am not entirely convinced that this warrants a trademark dispute, and in addition to that, I'm also uncertain that the trademark dispute is anywhere near as clear-cut as Oversight Games might believe. Now, let me walk you through what I mean. Now, Oversight Games does have a registered trademark where the application was initially filed on May 25th of this year, and the registered mark was published only 10 days ago on October 6th. And this poses a bit of a problem because Capital Gaming RP had been making use of their game, as can be seen from the Steam store page, as of April 3rd of this year. And we know that their use of the game title Civilcontract goes back much further than that, as my own first video on Buddy Boy Benson was released on November 20th of 2019. This is important because this means that Benson's use of the game title predates the filing for the registered mark for Civil the game. And this would mean that a common law trademark takes priority over the registered mark because within the United States, it is first to use, not first to file. And when it comes to a trademark, two factors come into play in determining use in commerce: first to advertise and first to market. And in terms of that, I feel Oversight Games does have a strong case for first to advertise, as the Civil the Games Facebook page was created on May 9th of 2018. And in terms of first to market, it would appear that took place on February 15th, 2019. Now, Varius Benson's game was not released onto Steam until April of this year. However, he was selling pre-orders on his website and had released a very laughable demo at some point prior to that. And per a now-deleted trailer where we can see some dates that were shown in one of Psy Syndicate's videos, that trailer was published on December 10th of 2018. And within the description of that video, pre-orders were available on the no longer existent website at that time, which would mean that Varius Benson would appear to have been first to market. However, in order to make any kind of real determination on this, it would take the involvement of legal representation. But even then, I'm not at all certain whether or not a case can be made here. There has obviously been market confusion created due to some of the grief that Oversight Games have received simply because their game titles both have the word civil in them. But is that substantial enough to justify as trademark infringement? Well, I simply don't know. And it's because of that lack of certainty, not to mention the simple fact that it would just be a smart thing to do, that I advised Aaron to seek a legal consultation on this matter. It would have been better if he had done that before sending a takedown request to Valve, but hopefully this entire mess can get sorted. And Aaron did provide me with a message that he had sent to Valve where he states, "I have a legal issue and I hate to bother you with it, but it's been glaringly getting worse since announcing my game. I believe there is someone in violation of my intellectual property on your platform and I want you to take action against them. I've attached a PDF describing the situation in detail. I hope your legal team can rectify this issue because this problem is hurting my team financially and I don't know if we can continue putting up with the defamation. I want to make it clear that we have legal trademarks that protect our name from a copycat like the one described in the document. My only request is you do what you can to stop my consumers' confusion by either removing Civilcontract from the Steam platform or by changing the Civilcontract product name to something that does not include the word civil." And I do have to say that Valve have no ability or right to change the name of someone else's property. Only Capital Gaming RP can do that, and in my mind, it is unlikely that Valve will take action on this until and unless lawyers get involved, because a trademark dispute over a single word causing brand confusion can get a bit dicey. And within that PDF, there is some evidence to help back up his claim, such as Big Fry TV clarifying within one of his videos, "We have a game that just popped up called Civil, which is not Civilcontract." The YouTuber Red Solo Cup commenting on what would most likely be Civil the Game's Discord, "Isn't this the same game Civilcontract, now renamed Civil, that threatened to copyright strike Psy Syndicate and Big Fry?" And along with that, several users coming into their Discord mistakenly thinking it was the Discord for Civilcontract, and also a listing of actions Buddy Boy Benson had done that had caused all of the backlash. So, once more, just to be clear, Civil the Game is not Civilcontract. It is not renamed from Civilcontract. Oversight Games is not Capital Gaming RP. similar sounding names, virtually identical style of games, but two very distinct entities. Let Varius Benson answer for the actions of Varius Benson. Let Oversight Games answer for the actions of Oversight Games, and for God's sake, stop confusing the two. The Civilcontract released onto Steam's early access on April 3rd of this year. Now, I purchased the game, much to my own disgust, 2 days later in order to see what Benson had done with his cobbled-together pile of pre-bought assets. And the result was appalling. The only thing that consistently worked within the game was the simple fact that the executable launched. Everything else was entirely up in the air. There was quite literally nothing to do except wander around aimlessly within a very small area and encounter bugs upon bugs and glitches upon glitches. The game was so bad, in fact, that in order for an active server to be running for the game, Buddy Boy Benson had to have a bot player logged in the game titled Server, where that character stood around in the spawn area, and that was needed for the server to run. It was so bad that it made Day of Dragons seem positively polished and masterfully created in comparison. Now, obviously, as a result of how dreadful everything was, I had seen literally all there was to see within a 5-minute window of time, and yet I still kept trying to find something, anything, for a little over half an hour before my sanity simply couldn't take it anymore. The game sat there, languishing in its ineptitude for a few weeks before the Steam storefront was completely removed on May 12th. Benson claimed it was in order to get the game to a stable state. However, with no changes whatsoever being made to either the public build or the development build of the game, the storefront went live again on May 26th, leading me to believe that Benson had only taken that action in order to stifle the initial burst of extremely negative feedback and critique over this laughingstock of a game. Now, on August 29th, I had the Capital Gaming RP Studios Discord user reach out to me with the following message. This is a message on behalf of Varius Benson, the lead developer of Civilcontract, another developer who finds themselves on your Dirty Devs list. A member of our team recently watched your latest video where you say that the Dirty Devs list is not a be-all, where I actually said it's not an end-all be-all, but okay. Meaning that developers get a chance to explain and hopefully show enough evidence to you that they have changed and don't belong on the list anymore, which isn't entirely accurate. I'm always waiting for a developer to be able to prove that they have learned and grown and changed as a person, changed as a developer who is capable of putting out a game that is beneficial to the consumer, a game that people will enjoy playing, being developed by someone who isn't a complete and utter tool. Also, in your videos about Civilcontract, you say you would be willing to speak to Benson in a call or in a chat via Discord in regards to speaking and getting more info on things. Hopefully, your willingness to talk, as the first YouTuber whom this PR issue started with, Sai Sin, they have resolved it, and Sai Sin is now a CGRPS partner, activity watching the game's development and helping the developers with games ideas and questions regarding what the player base wants. Which is all well and good, I suppose. And it's no secret that I hold no real respect for Sai Syndicate, especially after he was only too willing to kowtow to Benson's DMCA threats and his attempt to throw Big Fry TV under the bus, something I went into in a previous video, in fact. However, I myself have seen no indication of change within Varius Benson, and when someone shows themselves to be a pathological liar, how can I ever be even partially confident that anything that comes out of his mouth would ever be the truth? To my mind, action will always speak far louder than words ever could, and Varius Benson's actions have been to lie, to attempt to extort through a weaponized abuse of the DMCA in order to silence critique, to threaten legal harm against a minor and that minor's parents through an unenforceable non-disclosure agreement, and to even lie about his age because he was not of the required age to sign the Steam developer agreement. The guy was even slimy enough to slide into my Discord while I was sleeping and hold an impromptu AMA within a voice channel without my knowledge until I was told the next morning. And this Capital Gaming RP person, who I believe was Benson himself, was attempting to get some sort of redemption from me because I firmly wish for each and every game developer on the Dirty Devs list to mend their ways and release a product that is not predatory in nature and is something that gamers can enjoy. And their response to that was to send me a video trailer titled Civilcontract 2.0 Teaser Trailer as an attempt at proof of work done. Which, I'm sorry, I've seen far too many game developers release misleading trailers that ended up in no way being representative of the actual game. If they want to prove to me great strides in turning this giant ball of ass into something remotely passable for this game's ludicrous $35 asking price, they will have to release the update. It's that simple. But even then, that in no way invalidates Buddy Boy Benson's previous actions. Only time and effort will do that. It is, after all, much more difficult to dig yourself out of the hole that you dug than it is to dig the hole itself. And until that happens, Civilcontract and Varius Benson, not to be confused with Civil the Game and Oversight Games, will remain right where they belong, on the Dirty Devs. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.